You have never seen a club like this. The range of skills and abilities of this group have not been matched anywhere, okay? So, everybody works hard every week to outdo what they've done. If you're going to grow, you have to put yourself out there, and that's what Prez reminded me of. So, there you have it. He pushed just hard enough. So, what Ken suggested I say to you all tonight is, this is a highly unusual speech for E.T. Ken is brilliant and an engineer, and he's giving.
I told her that.
Yeah, you wrote that down.
Just like you wrote.
I did. I just wrote that down. Saying Ken is brilliant. He, but he'll be giving a highly technical speech, and this is he's giving it from a technical manual. So this is one of his choices that he can make. So he's chosen something very technical to present on, and this is unusual for ET. So we didn't want to scare you guys off. This is something special. Ken is going to talk about fracking. Cool.
You've probably heard about fracking. Have you ever wondered what the freak is fracking anyway? And why should I care about it? Well, tonight you're going to learn what fracking is. You'll learn its benefits, why it's so popular, and what some of its liabilities are. For that, I'm going to show some slides. While the first one comes on, fracking is a word, kind of a conundrum in itself. And it's a combination of fragmenting or fracturing and cracking. And I've taken a slide, or made a slide from a picture from that great source of wisdom, Wikipedia, that will help you learn what fracking is. Now what you're seeing here in green is the surface of the earth. That blue wiggly line is a river. And we have a cut through the side of the earth to show you what goes on down below. And fracking is a process of fracturing and cracking the earth where there are large deposits of natural gas, so that natural gas could be released, trapped, and burned as fuel. And in this picture, you see here a well drilled vertically downwards to the layer in the earth, usually a shale rock layer, that contains trapped natural gas. And high pressure water is pushed down that hole, and that high pressure water is used to fracture or crack the shale rock and release the trapped gas so it comes back up and that we can burn it. What's happened in the last few years that's made fracking so much in the news is the new technology of not only drilling straight down into that gas-rich region, but drilling down and horizontally, so that more of the shale layer can be fractured to let the natural gas out. And that's why it's been so much in the news. Technically, it's hydraulically driven pressure fracturing or cracking of shale layers. Now I have another picture on the next slide that will make this a little bit more realistic, so you could perhaps better see what this looks like in actuality. Here is a cut through the earth, so here's the surface again. This is what we technically call dirt when you dig into the ground, right? So just below the surface is a dirt layer, rock, soil, that kind of thing. There's a water table where people who live outside the city dig wells and drop tubes into to bring water out. So they're taking water out of the water table. And way down deep, when the earth was formed, shale was deposited at some deep level, which contains within it this natural gas. Now this is just a consequence of the geological processes that led to the formation of the earth. This picture gives you kind of a concrete feeling. We're living up here. What fracking's about is dropping a vertical well way down into the shale layer and then making a turn, drilling along here and fracturing this shale, releasing gas that's trapped in there, and it goes into the tube and back out. Now this technological development has greatly increased our ability, or our ability, meaning the United States' ability to collect natural gas that we have in abundant supplies in this country. As a consequence, you can see here that the shale gas, which is the gas that comes from the fracking, has been increasing dramatically over the last few years compared to the conventional gas sources. Just from 2005, there's been a tremendous upturn in the production of this natural gas. Now, some of you may be aware that natural gas is used for home heating. You can buy it as compressed natural gas. It is a great fuel. And if there's more and more of it produced, it becomes cheaper. It can be used instead of other fuels for heating and generating electricity. And having a domestic source of a hydrocarbon fuel like shale gas, you might imagine, is a great benefit to the country. Cheap, alternative fuel, alternative to petroleum or coal. Now, wouldn't you like such a cheap alternative fuel to also be a clean combustion fuel? That would be nice. Have something that burns so that the environment and the air stays clean. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Clean air. Well, studies, and I've taken the results from one research paper, studies of the comparison of conventional gas, meaning natural gas that we've had from wells, traditionally drilled wells. Unconventional gas, UG, is gas from fracking, compared with coal, have indicated, and I've highlighted the line where the indication is, that compared to coal, say coal is put on a scale of emitting polluting gases equal to, say, 100 on a scale. And coal gives out global warming gases that will say at a level of 100. If we burn conventional natural gas or unconventional gas, the reduction in emitted species in the case of conventional gas is about 40%. In this frack gas, 35%, 36%. So just by going to this gas that comes from a shale well, we've reduced the amount of CO2 emitted and global warming gases to the environment by almost 40%. Ironically, the United States is currently in compliance with the Kyoto Protocol on CO2 emissions, even though, as a country, we didn't want to sign that protocol because we thought we'd never be able to achieve those goals. But as soon as cheap natural gas became available because of fracking, we found, without even trying, that we were meeting the protocol. Because, compared to coal, and coal is the major way we produce electricity in this country, we're reducing CO2 by almost 40%. And if we go to future technology, it'd go even greater, almost 50%. So if you were thinking, why should I care about fracking anyway? It's because it provides clean, abundant, domestic fuel, and because it's so abundant, less expensive than foreign fuel. Now, why you should care is because it has benefits. But there's another reason, like all technologies, there are problems. And in fact, there's a movie out, The Promised Land. Have anyone heard about that film with Matt Damon? Just coming out about fracking that focuses on the liabilities of fracking. And on this last slide, I show schematically, or I've taken a photo, schematic diagram from Scientific American outlining what the problems are with fracking that you might care about. Well, one is, on these wells that are drilled here, they're lined with cement so that the water that is pushed into the earth, which has a lot of chemicals in it, stays confined to the tube. But if there's a leak or a break, crack in the tube, the water, the chemically treated water that's used to fracture the shale, leaks into the surrounding area and contaminates the groundwater and the soil. That's a problem. The other possibility that occurs and is something to really be concerned about is that the fractures created in the shale can actually link up with existing fractures in the earth and form a channel to the surface so that the methane or the natural gas that's supposed to go up the tube that was drilled, in fact goes through the earth, seeps out, and just is released from the ground. And the methane is not good for breathing, it's flammable, it may smell, it's wasteful, it contaminates the atmosphere. And that's the subject, I believe, of that film, The Promised Land. They talk about the methane actually escaping onto the farms. So this is the downside of fracking, and it's also a reason why you should care about this. Now, if you want to know more about these kinds of things, all you have to do is go to Google fracking, and you'll be amazed at the amount of material you'll find. Newspaper articles, even go to Wikipedia and look up fracking. In this case, Wikipedia is a really nice source. So as a result, I hope, of my presentation today, you now know what fracking is. You know what fracking is now? Good. How about you? Oh, all right. You know the benefits of fracking: clean burning, large supplies of inexpensive natural gas, which can replace coal. You know some of the liabilities here, that it might lead to contamination of the water or release methane into the air. And knowing that kind of thing, you might be able to go to that movie with a friend and sit and say, I know what this movie's about. I saw a talk on fracking. But you also might go to your local legislator and be able to contribute in an intelligent way to any conversation about passing laws that limit this. If those laws are effectively placed, and we do have abundant, cheap energy, we might gain a lot in this country. We might gain energy independence and have a better economy because we're not sending so much money overseas. And as you know, the more money that stays here, the better our life is, the more we can enjoy living with all that money that we're sending elsewhere. Where was our talk? Oh.